What happens when lust, jealousy, and faith collide in one family? Welcome to the world of the Brothers Karamazov, where murder and philosophy intertwine. The Brothers Karamazov, Murder, Faith, and the Human Soul Explained. Part 1. Have you ever heard of a story so deep, so layered, that it feels less like a novel and more like life itself? A tale of passion, betrayal, philosophy, faith, and murder, woven together in a way only one genius could imagine? Welcome to the Brothers Karamazov, Fyodor Dostoevsky's final masterpiece. This is not just a book. It's a storm of human emotions. A murder mystery. A courtroom drama. And at the same time, it is a spiritual quest that asks questions most of us are too afraid to even whisper. What does it mean to live a good life? Can morality survive without faith? And what happens when desire, jealousy, and pride tear a family apart? At the center of this grand Russian saga stands one of literature's most notorious fathers. Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov. A vulgar, greedy, lust-driven man who neglects, manipulates, and humiliates his own sons. Around him swirl three brothers, each one a reflection of a different face of humanity. Dmitri, the soldier, impulsive, passionate, and enslaved by desire. Ivan, the intellectual, cold, rational, tormented by doubt. And Alyosha, the gentle novice monk, whose compassion may be the only thread holding this family together. Three brothers. One father. And between them, rivalry, forbidden love, and eventually, a murder that shocks the entire town. But Dostoevsky doesn't stop at the crime. He takes us into the courtroom, into the debates of faith and reason, into the very soul of Russia in the 19th century. The novel is not only about who killed Fyodor Pavlovich, it's about why we live, why we suffer, and whether redemption is possible. Now here's the remarkable thing, this was the last book Dostoevsky ever wrote. He poured everything into it, his pain, his questions, his wisdom. And in the end, it became more than a story. It became his farewell to the world. So, in today's storytelling, let's step into the chaotic, fiery, and unforgettable world of the Karamazovs. A world where brothers clash, fathers fall, and the eternal questions of humanity echo louder than ever. This is the Brothers Karamazov. Part 2, Main Storytelling. The Karamazov family is not just dysfunctional. It is a battlefield, where love and hatred, desire and guilt, faith and despair collide with devastating force. At the center of this storm is Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov. Imagine the worst father you can think of, then multiply him by 10. He is a buffoon, a miser, and a drunkard. He neglects his children, mocks religion, and chases women half his age with shameless greed. To Fyodor, life is nothing but a playground for lust and money. But out of this corrupted soil, three sons are born. And each son carries within him a piece of humanity's eternal struggle. Dmitri, the man of passion. First, we meet Dmitri Karamazov, the eldest son. He's hot-blooded, impulsive, and reckless. Dmitri is ruled by desire, whether it's money, drink, or women. But beneath the surface of his wild energy burns something more tragic, a desperate hunger for love. His greatest torment comes from a woman named Grushenka. A beautiful, cunning, and fiercely independent woman who has men wrapped around her finger. Both Dmitri and his father, Fyodor Pavlovich, fall in love with her. Yes, father and son, competing for the same woman. The rivalry turns bitter, violent, and dangerous. But Dmitri is not merely a brute. At times, he shows flashes of honor, even tenderness. He wants to be better, but temptation drags him down again and again. His life is a tug-of-war between lust and nobility. Ivan, the man of reason. Next comes Ivan Karamazov, the middle brother. Brilliant, cold, and philosophical, Ivan represents the voice of reason and skepticism. He is haunted by the question, if God does not exist, is everything permitted? Ivan doesn't simply reject faith, he wrestles with it. In one of the novel's most famous passages, The Grand Inquisitor, Ivan imagines a parable where Christ returns to earth but is rejected by the church, which prefers order and control over true freedom. Through Ivan, Dostoevsky gives voice to doubt, atheism, and rebellion against God. And yet, beneath his intellectual armor lies loneliness, even despair. His rational mind cannot escape the fire of his conscience. Alyosha, the man of faith. And then, there is Alyosha, the youngest Karamazov. Pure-hearted, gentle, humble. Alyosha is a novice in a monastery, devoted to his mentor, the wise elder Zosima. Where Dmitri is passion, and Ivan is reason, Alyosha is faith. But Dostoevsky doesn't portray him as weak or naive. Alyosha's kindness is powerful. His empathy is his strength. While his brothers burn with lust and anger, Alyosha seeks to heal, to reconcile, to love. In him, Dostoevsky presents not blind faith, but faith, the storm of rivalries. Now picture this. A father who mocks his sons. A son who despises his father. Another son who questions the very meaning of existence. And a woman, Grushenka, standing at the crossroads of desire and destruction. Dmitri accuses his father of trying to steal Grushenka. Fyodor taunts him, delighted to provoke his son's rage. The entire town whispers about the scandal. Everyone knows that something terrible is brewing. And then, the unthinkable happens. The murder. One night, Fyodor Pavlovich is found dead. Murdered. The house is in chaos. The town is in shock. All eyes turn to Dmitri. After all, he had openly threatened his father. He had the motive, the passion, the rage. And the night of the murder, Dmitri was seen running wild, desperate, and covered in blood. But was it really him? Or was it someone else? In the shadows of this tragedy stands another figure, Smerdyakov, the servant of the household. Quiet, resentful, and sly, Smerdyakov is rumored to be Fyodor Pavlovich's illegitimate son. He has long simmered with bitterness toward the family. Could he have been the one to strike? Or did he merely enable the crime, whispering in Ivan's ear, manipulating events from behind the scenes? Dostoevsky keeps the tension alive, leaving us to wonder who is truly guilty, and who bears the greater sin, the one who commits the act, or the one who allows it to happen. The courtroom drama. The murder leads to one of literature's most gripping courtroom trials. Dmitri is dragged before the court, accused of patricide, the ultimate crime in a culture that values honor and family. The prosecution paints him as a violent, lust-driven man who could not control his rage. The defense argues he is impulsive, yes, but not a murderer. Witnesses pour in. Secrets are revealed. Passions ignite in the courtroom. It is not just Dmitri on trial, it is the human soul itself. Is man condemned by his passions? Is he free to choose differently? Or is he doomed by the sins of his father, by the corruption of society, by forces beyond his control? The verdict comes crashing down, and whether fair or not, it seals the fate of the brothers, leaving us with questions that echo long after the book ends. And this, dear listener, is only the surface of the Brothers Karamazov. Because beneath the murder mystery lies a web of deeper struggles, between belief and unbelief, justice and murder. Part 3, Themes and Philosophy. When people first hear about the Brothers Karamazov, they think of it as a murder mystery. But Dostoevsky's genius lies in what that mystery unlocks, an ocean of questions about faith, morality, and the human soul. Faith versus doubt. At the heart of the novel is the eternal battle between belief and unbelief. Ivan, the skeptic, cannot accept a world where innocent children suffer. He challenges the very idea of God, insisting that if such cruelty exists, faith must be a lie. Alyosha, by contrast, does not have all the answers, but he embodies trust, compassion, and forgiveness. His faith is not abstract, it is lived out through kindness. Between these two brothers, Dostoevsky stages a philosophical duel. He does not give us easy answers. Instead, he lets both voices speak fully, forcing us, the readers, to wrestle with the same questions. Morality and freedom. Another theme that pulses through the novel is freedom. What does it mean to be truly free? Ivan argues that without God, everything is permitted, that morality is just an illusion. But Dostoevsky suggests the opposite: freedom without love, without responsibility, becomes chaos. This is why the parable of the Grand Inquisitor is so haunting. In it, Ivan imagines the church rejecting Christ because true freedom is too heavy for most people to bear. Humans, the Inquisitor claims, would rather be controlled than truly free. It's a chilling reminder of how often we trade freedom for comfort, for security, for rules that spare us the burden of choice. The nature of sin and redemption. The murder of Fyodor Pavlovich forces every character to confront guilt, not only the one who struck the blow, but also those who enabled it, ignored it, or secretly wished for it. Here, Dostoevsky shows us that sin is never isolated. It spreads like fire, touching everyone. And yet, he also points to redemption. Through suffering, through love, through the smallest acts of compassion, there is always the possibility of renewal. Alyosha embodies this hope. Even in the darkest moments, he believes that no one is beyond saving. The Russian soul. Finally, The Brothers Karamazov is a portrait of 19th-century Russia itself. The old faith, the new reason, the pull of the West, the weight of tradition, it is all here. Dostoevsky captured his country at a turning point, and in doing so, he captured something timeless about the human condition. These themes, faith and doubt, freedom and responsibility, sin and redemption, are what make the novel more than a story. They make it a mirror. And when we gaze into it, we don't just see the Karamazovs. We see Part 4, Closing and Hype. So, what makes The Brothers Karamazov a masterpiece that has stood the test of time? It's the way Dostoevsky dives into the heart of humanity, flawed, passionate, questioning, and yearning for meaning. It's the tension of a family torn apart by greed, desire, and rivalry. It's the intellectual fireworks of a novel that asks, what is justice? What is faith? What does it mean to live a good life? Even 150 years after it was written, the questions feel urgent, alive, and deeply personal. Dostoevsky doesn't just tell a story, he makes you feel it, wrestle with it, and reflect on your own soul. Reading The Brothers Karamazov is like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking out over the chaos and beauty of life itself. You will laugh. You will ache. You will think. You may even cry. And that, perhaps, is the true genius of Dostoevsky. He reminds us that in our passion, doubt, and struggle, we are all part of the same human story. So, if you've ever wanted a novel that challenges you, moves you, and lingers long after the last page, this is it. Step into the world of the Karamazovs. Witness their trials, their triumphs, their tragedies, and discover what it truly means to be human. The Brothers Karamazov is waiting. Are you ready to enter?